Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Veterans Day to all, and happy Veterans Day to the families of the veterans who've made sure that we could do the things that we've done while deployed and in country. My name is Craig Waddy. I am the committee chair for the Veterans Committee for the Society of American Military Engineers in the Northern Virginia Post. Thank you for giving us this time to kind of talk with you, just kind of casually about what we're doing in Northern Virginia. So without further ado, I just want to introduce the post commander, Julie Smiley. If you would say hi, Julie.
Good morning. Hello.
And also Colonel Chamberlain. Should I say Dr. Colonel Chamberlain? Or is it just Colonel Chamberlain?
Not for this show. Yeah, no, thanks, Craig, and thanks for Rod and hosting us here today to talk about the Society of American Military Engineers.
Perfect. Well, and again, I want to thank everyone who's watching, because the Society of American Military Engineers has a long history, and we want to just kind of go over some of the things that we've done with the community, talk to Julie, who is post commander, and Ed, who has connections with the National Post, so we can familiarize you with what we're doing and what we hope to do in the near future. So I'm going to start with Julie. Julie, if you would, tell us, how long has the Society of American Military Engineers been in existence?
Well, it started in 1920, 104 years ago, and it was mainly due to the engineers coming back over from World War I. They knew that they wanted to capture the lessons learned from the work that they did over there for the infrastructures and the bases, and they wanted to maintain the relationships that they had established overseas and to ensure preparedness for future conflicts, because they weren't ready the way they needed to be. So they knew they needed to find a way to stay connected, and SAME gave them that way. Over the years, we've had many notable engineers as members, such as General Douglas MacArthur, General John Pershing, and in 1928, Charles Dawes served both as the SAME national president and the vice president for the United States. At SAME now, we have over 30,000 members and 100 posts and field chapters located throughout the United States and several countries internationally. Our post was originally established as the Fort Belvoir Post in 1948, and it was renamed the Northern Virginia Post in 2000. Many changes have happened over the years within SAME, going from a military-focused community with active duty personnel as national and post presidents to include the private industry sectors as well as state and municipal governments.
So that is awesome, Julie. You're educating me. I did not know that General MacArthur was actually one of the institutors of the Society of American Military Engineers in 104 years. That's quite a bit of time being in existence, helping military engineers from NAVFAC to the Corps, to the Army Corps, actually providing and completing our mission. So Colonel Chamberlain, if you could you add on to that? Because you have a message that you want to put into that?
Yeah, sure. I think what's important for everyone to understand about the Society of American Military Engineers is it's not necessarily only a society for engineers. It's not only a society for the military, and you actually don't have to be an American citizen to be a member. What is common is that everybody that's a member normally has a desire to support our nation's strategic interests in the architecture, engineering, and construction field. And that's, back to what Julie was explaining, back 104 years ago. You can imagine the world wars that we were coming out of or about to go into, and we're really looking to engage private industry with government, with the military, but also those that were not in the military, to support how we would solve our nation's toughest challenges, how we would prepare for major conflicts, how we'd prepare our own country's infrastructure. So that's what our society nationally and worldwide is about. And then here locally, we have the Northern Virginia Post that Julie and I are members of, or Julie is the post president of that post. But we also have a Washington D.C. post here in the area. We also have a Baltimore post in the area. We also have a down south Chesapeake or the Hampton Roads Post, Virginia Peninsula Post. So we have posts around all over the sort of DC metro, Virginia area, all committed to supporting advancing infrastructure development in our community. So that's, I mean, obviously today's Veterans Day and we're talking about veterans, but I just want to stress, what our society is also about.
Well, great, Colonel, and that's a good lead-in, because I want to take the opportunity to talk about our individual stories. Julie, as the president, yeah, I'm sorry, I caught you in the middle of taking a drink. As the president, could you tell us a little bit about your veteran story? And I know that you're a family of veterans, so please.
Well, my veteran story is I am not a veteran, but yet rather a military brat, Air Force brat. My dad's went into the Air Force actually at 17 and graduated from the Air Force Academy, one of the first graduating classes, served 30 years. And at many different duty stations, including Vietnam, the Pentagon, and NATO overseas in Brussels. So I was used to that military life. And so when I got introduced into SAME, which is 13 years ago when I first came into the industry, it just felt comfortable for me. I was working for a service disabled veteran-owned small business, and he was the president, or the owner was very supportive of me doing this and told me to man the registration table and get to know people. And that's pretty much what I did. And I got to know everybody, a lot of people coming in and out, but just understanding the rank, the response, the respect and everything within the military was just where I was comfortable. So, and I kind of feel like it's in a way continuing my family support of the warfighter, being part of the military construction projects, making the bases that our personnel are living in and making them enjoyable and comfortable. Knowing some of the bases that it's always exciting to me when I see projects coming across at bases that that my dad was stationed at, that I lived at. And I know that project, or I know that building. I know it was bad 30 years ago, so it really needs help now. So, so that's kind of what it was. But in a other small story, my dad did get touched slightly by SAME through me. Because he had fought in Vietnam and he never really talked about it. I was at a SAME small business conference a number of years ago, and somebody on stage talked about how the veterans now, we always say thank you for your service to those that are serving now. And back then they didn't. It was hidden. They didn't have that acknowledgement. And this gentleman was on stage and had these coins and said, my mission is to go across the country and thank veterans for their service. And I went and talked to him, and he gave me a coin, and I took it home to my dad. And my dad was touched that somebody was still thinking about the veterans of the Vietnam War. And, then after that, he started talking about it a little more. He gave us stories. I made a book from a book of pictures that he had from the war. So it was just a touching moment for me in that. So.
Well, Julie, I can see that it still touches you. One of the things I will say, and this is on Veterans Day, we are honored to support and recognize our veterans, but veterans' families and spouses, when veterans are deployed or when they're engaged in some sort of activity, those are the ones who actually get really, really affected by the lack of not having their spouses who are actively engaged in serving the country. So that's a big part of what we want to make sure that today in Veterans Day that we acknowledge. So I'm going to say, Julie, thank you for your service and the long-lasting effect that it has. But Colonel, if you would tell us a little bit about your pathway.
Sure. No, and again, thanks, Julie, for sharing your story. I've somehow only see myself, so hopefully you guys are still there.
But we're still here.
Yeah, I joined the Army back in 1993. And I served for 25 years in the Army, initially as a combat engineer, and then moved into more of design and construction while still active duty, but serving in the Army Corps of Engineers, where I served both stateside and overseas. And I can bore you to tears about both if you would like. But yeah, what started off as really a way to pay for college, an initial tour of 4 years turned into 25. Not exactly sure how that happened. But you know, a lot of incredible experiences, a lot of incredible people, a lot of incredible places to serve, and some really rough stories for sure. But yeah, I treasured my time in the Army. I retired back in 2018, and there are aspects certainly that I miss. But you know, very proud of serving in the Army and really doing multiple deployments overseas. I was deployed in Iraq twice, Afghanistan, Bosnia, 2 tours in Germany, once in Kuwait, many other countries I can't spell or pronounce, but had a great time. And I'll tell you another thing about, you know, we always have to tell the Army story, right? You know, an incredible benefit that both to myself and to my family was certainly the medical benefits available within the Army, and I still take advantage of, but also the education benefits. You know, the Army paid for my education through multiple degrees, but also for my family. And so through the GI Bill, I was able to you know, continue to serve, and then able to give education benefits to my 2 children. And my son is actually graduating from college this December, next month, and taking advantage of that GI Bill. So you know, the incredible benefits in the Army. Certainly, you know, very proud of that experience. On the SAME side, you know, I became a member of the Society of American Military Engineers in 1991, before I actually commissioned into the Army. At the time, SAME at my alma mater of Virginia Tech, you know, they came to campus and they said, "Hey, do you know anything about SAME?" And I'm like, "Nope, not a thing." And they're like, "Would you be interested in learning more about the society?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And they're like, "Would you be interested in a scholarship opportunity?" I'm like, "Sure, bring it on." So yeah, the SAME got me early on in 1991 with a scholarship, and then I, you know, off and on throughout my career, I've been engaged with SAME, and both on the government side about talking about what our challenges were that we're facing in the Army Corps of Engineers with infrastructure, and then at local posts. And I will say that Julie was the first person that I met at the Northern Virginia post, and really welcomed me into the post when I became a lot more active about 7 or 8 years ago. And we've been fast friends ever since, and then really teaming together in this post ever since.
That is awesome, Colonel, and congratulations on the graduations. I mean, that's time flies when you're having fun, right, sir?
Yeah.
So well, and my story is much shorter. I can't follow those 2 individuals, but one of the reasons why I have a headset on is because I was a flight engineer on a CH-47 crew. Done some things, been some places. I can't follow Colonel Chamberlain, but my service actually led to becoming a federal contract acquisition specialist, doing capture in that space in the intelligence DoD and DHHS and some other agencies that I won't talk about. But you know, I will say that my military career has been instrumental in my civilian career, and also establishing some relationships like with Julie and Colonel Chamberlain and the rest of the membership over the Society of American Military Engineers, Northern Virginia Post. Phil Hicks, who is an incredible advocate for the society and helping us actually do more when it comes to not just veterans, as Julie pointed out, but doing more for the veterans and government community. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing your story. So let me a question for you, Julie. What do you think are some of the benefits to being a member of the Society of American Military Engineers, especially in the Northern Virginia post?
Well, the Northern Virginia Post, because we're the best. We're very active. We've got a great board that helps us run everything. We are a volunteer organization, so everything is based on, everybody helping each other out. But we are close to DC. We're close to the federal government, NAVFAC, Army Corps, which is where, we like Ed said, we are helping the architects and the engineer firms get connected to the federal government, to get contracts, to get teaming opportunities, and working with each other, working with the government. So it's just a great opportunity to network, to find other people that are doing the same thing that you're doing and that you can connect with, but then also to hear from the federal government what opportunities they've got coming up. If we've like to focus and help the small businesses make those connections, because a lot of times they don't have the money or the funding to get out and around and everywhere that they need to get to. We do a local small business conference where we have the federal government come in, different agencies that come in and talk about what their opportunities are. And then we do matchmaking, which is where I've met you, Craig. Matchmaking opportunities where small businesses can sit down with the federal government and one-on-one and talk about how they can start to work with them. So it's a lot of connection, a lot of networking, and just truthfully, I've been building a family. Like Ed said, I've been doing this for 13 years with SAME, and I have a lot of great friends that I have met that if anything comes up, they are always there to help and support. So it's firm-wise, company-wise, but also personal-wise too.
I'm going to say this, Julie, and it's an inside joke, I guess, with the Society of American Military Engineers, Northern Virginia Post. We have bell ringers, and Julie is mentioning the fact that one of the reasons why I have a headset on, one outside of the fact that I was in aviation, so I'm more comfortable having a headset on than anything else. But one of my jobs, because I am Army, is to ring the bell and let the individuals who are doing the matchmaking sessions know that their time is up. But it would be great if those individuals who are watching it could attend our matchmaking sessions and see exactly how we partner with quite a few organizations, agencies, and corporate sponsors to make sure that we can connect. And I would love to be able to ring the bell and say, hey, your 5 minutes is up. But this is an opportunity excuse me, I'm sorry, Colonel. You're right. 3 minutes are up.
No, 3 minutes, 3 minutes on B2B, 5 to 10 minutes on matchmaking.
Or matchmaking.
We have two purposes for the cowbell.
and it is a wonderful job. So thank you for entrusting me with that and knowing that I'm loud enough to go ahead and do it. Yes. And as the Colonel actually spells me, because for some reason I think he likes hearing the cowbell, that 3 minutes, just letting you know, for those individuals who are really interested in building relationships with agencies, with other corporate sponsors, with individuals within the GovCon space, 3 minutes is a lot of time. It's a lot of time to build a connection and then take that connection outside of that matchmaking space and hopefully lead to further relationships and opportunities. And speaking of opportunities, Colonel, you as in the GovCon space, could you tell us a little bit about those opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say it. Selfishly, SAME is a very powerful resource for me personally in my career. So I use SAME for the network, so the people that we know, to do more business development. So I do business development with like-size firms, large businesses, small businesses, find teaming partners to put together the most comprehensive, fully capable team to win contracts in the AEC space. So, I mean, first and foremost, that's it. And then get the engagement with your clients. We are able to bring a lot of our government clients in that space to SAME events, because at the same time, our government clients are wanting to get the most competition for their opportunities. And the more competition, potentially better quality, lower price. So that the folks in government clients that we engage through SAME is definitely the interest there. but also on a personal level. I mentioned some of the things that I miss, that I'm no longer serving in the military on this Veterans Day. Some of the things that I miss, I also get through SAME. So engaging veterans transitioning and trying to just, hey, have someone else to talk through that's already retired, that's already in potentially a career space that they're interested in. Just talking to people about salaries, right? Like no one, that's like a taboo subject when you're in the military. You don't want, plus, it's like published in a pay scale. It's not really a debate. I get a lot through SAME about mentoring veterans, getting prepared, and we can talk a little bit more about that if you want. But the other is, really developing our next generation of leaders. Something that I found in the military is that we were forced into leadership roles every step of our career, or you get out, right? It's move up or get out, right? That's kind of how it works. And so I've found that the leadership opportunities, the mentoring opportunities in private industry aren't always as well established. So, Julie and I, and also Bree Beal and Philios Angelides and the DC Post and a few others, Brad Wilson, Justin Jacobs, I think I got everybody. We run through the SAME a leadership and mentoring program every year. As a matter of fact, I've got applications open right now if anybody's interested in it. We close those applications at the end of December or December 6th.
December 6th.
But we might extend it further. But anyway, that leadership and mentoring program, every month I bring together about 12 to 13 mid-careerists. They're either from the military or in government or in private industry, and really learning from each other. We bring in fellows from our society. So a fellow in the Society of American Military Engineers is one that's held multiple leadership roles, both in their careers and also in the society. And they have demonstrated over 10 or 12 years of a commitment to serve on both sides of that, and then a commitment to serve further into the future. So I'm a fellow within the society as well. And so we bring in fellows every month to serve in that leadership and mentoring capacity. And so I don't know, I'm probably boring some people to tears, but I get a lot through SAME, both personally and professionally. And I think it really makes a difference.
Well, and that's great. And you're actually, you're reading my notes, Colonel, because when we're talking about the leadership, the LMP program, one of the things that really fascinates me is not just the LMP program, but the K through 12 program that we're engaged in. So that's kind of a natural transition. So Julie, could you tell us a little bit more about the K through 12 programs that we offer?
So we have a committee that focuses on that and connecting with the local schools, Fairfax, Arlington, Loudoun, just Prince William County, to find out what needs they have in the community or at the schools. And we participate in career fairs or science fairs. Ed's actually also participating in math counts. Just anything out there to help support our next generation, to keep them involved in STEM and get them interested in STEM, so that we can refill all that, that backlog that we're going to need, all the workload that's to come. So yeah, that's what the K to 12, but we also have within the national organization our engineering and construction camps, that is focused for I think it's junior seniors in high school that they apply. And we have I think we have 5 different camps at different bases across the US. And we support the students in providing transportation out there, but they apply through SAME National and they get chosen, and then we send them out there. And they have a great time. They get more hands-on, one-on-one with STEM activities, how to build a beam and figure out how to build one strong enough, because then they smash it to see how much weight they can push on it before it crashes. So, whoever's is the strongest wins. They build a boat out of cardboard and duct tape. and go across the pond, and whoever can make it across the pond wins, of the pool. So we're big on trying to support the students to get interested in STEM from an early age. And from there, we also provide college scholarships. So they apply for college scholarships, and we support that. Just need to be connected to the Northern Virginia Post, but they can go anywhere. We've had Air Force Academy, other military academies. Of course, I like the Air Force Academy, but so I remember that one. But
Sure.
we can go anywhere. So it's just big on supporting that beginning phase. So we've got different parts from beginning to end, basically, we support.
That is awesome. And that goes back to embedding leadership in an early part of an individual's career. When you talk about the K through 12 program, which, quite frankly, is an excellent program. When we look at STEM, and Colonel, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about this, but when we look at STEM in itself and in the AEC community, sometimes we think, oh, it's, operating a backhoe, or it is doing things when it comes to specifically the construction or on the design boards. But knowing how IT is now becoming a factor and integrating within AEC within construction, I think one of the things that we want to focus in on is how can we take a holistic approach to getting our members involved with AEC, not just veterans, but private individuals. So, Colonel, you being on that space and you being in the AEC space, could you kind of elaborate? And I know that's a little short, a long-winded question, but
no, I get you. But I was want to tag in some of the things that Julie was hitting on.
Sure.
That we are so much trying to encourage folks to go into, and this sort of answers your other question. We're trying to encourage folks to go into any type of application, science-related, math-related, engineering-related, design-related, that could help the AEC industry in the future. So I'll answer your question in that regard here in a minute. But there's so many people that are just young students that are just intimidated by math or intimidated by science, and like, that's not for me. And especially women these days, like, oh, well, it's not for me. And, I don't know about you, but in all my classes, all the women are smarter than me. So I don't think there's anything to be intimidated about. But we're really trying to encourage folks that, there's applications of STEM and everything you see and, do and around you, and really trying to incentivize it. And so, through Julie's leadership this year, we're going to give $35,000 in scholarships this year. And we want to do that every year. And to be honest, we can't ever find enough people that are interested in our scholarships. In this day and age of, I think groceries have increased by 20% in the past 4 years. School's not cheap. So, we're really trying to incentivize people in the K through 12 and the science fairs to go into these STEM camps that Julie was hitting on, to go into college or into a trade for that matter. And so to answer your question, we are looking for people to support in the AEC space, and you don't have to be an architect. You do not have to be an engineer, and you don't have to be someone that's really good at doing drywall to really support this space. So you're absolutely right. Our buildings these days are getting more and more complicated. And we've got a teammate, Lucian Niemeyer, that can speak way more intelligently about this than I can. But our building systems are so critical to their success and are so vulnerable at times that we need IT professionals in this space to really advance. But on the other side of it, we need people that are highly skilled in trades to support this space. So you don't have to go to college to support in the AEC space. That's really a message that SAME has been missing. Recently we really stressed, college degree licensed professionals, which we certainly need, but we also need people that are great welders. We need great electricians. We need great mechanical HVAC system, either installers or troubleshooters or commissioning specialists. So there's a lot of in the trade space that SAME is really trying to engage. And to bring it back to Veterans Day, we have a lot of veterans that learn a trade through their military service, and it doesn't need to end there. We need you in this space to really help improve our nation's infrastructure and improve our buildings that are at times 40 to 50 to 60 years old, to really improve the work environment to handle our nation's challenges.
And that is awesome. Thank you for reading into my question, because that's one of the challenges when we have wrench turners that are concerned about how they're going to transition into civilian life. The question is, well, join this SAME Northern Virginia Post, and we have a lot of events, we have conferences, we have other platforms where we can work on education and transition. And I want to go back to Lucian, because it goes back to webinars. We are at the Northern Virginia Post and DC Post. We're big on having conferences and webinars. But if you would tell us a little bit more, Julie, about the webinars that we do, our monthly webinar series.
Well, the monthly webinar series is the DC Post. They have a first Friday one that gets very technical, a lot more technical than what we do at a luncheon. But it's got a great history of different cybersecurity or CMMC, ATFP. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones, but it's been good. We at the Nova Post, we will pull a webinar when we feel that we have a great topic that we want to discuss, and it, just to kind of slide in. But we do two special months, one in September and one in November, for resiliency. Lucian Niemar just talked in November about cybersecurity.
Great.
And then I'm trying to remember what we had another one in September. I can't remember what that one was.
It was highlighting the Army Corps of Engineers response to emergencies, emergency response. And that was, right in the middle of Hurricane Helene and Milton at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, so we host those webinars, but then we also put them on our website. So they are available for our members as well as non-members to review, because we do want to educate, we want people to see what all we have that's available. Yeah.
That is awesome. And just as the Veterans Committee Chair, we'll tell you one of the things that we're also looking at is creating a wellness series for veterans and their families on some of the opportunities and some of the resources out there. We'll talk about mental health and issues regarding how you can transition fully and holistically from being a military member to a civilian. So it's not just going out and looking at CMMC or resiliency, but we want to make sure that at the Post that we're taking care of you from the inside out. Mm-hmm. And Colonel, I'm going to ask you, considering your multiple deployments, could you tell us a little bit about how just even being a member, and I think you touched on this, how it helped you or some of the members that in regards to how just being in a space with other military members and other veterans, how that has helped in regards to you making your transition?
Yeah. So the, transitioning from the military, whether you served 4 years or 10 years or 20 or 25, it's certainly, what's the right word? It can be a little intimidating. But for that regard, I think switching careers at any time in your career that, Juliet, right? It's intimidating just switching firms. So, but it is especially for those veterans that served a bit longer, they don't have the experience of doing multiple job interviews and applying for jobs. Normally the military was their first job. And if you were like me, I was a lifeguard, I think. Then I went into the military. And so I didn't really interview, or I didn't really present a resume necessarily to come into the military. I think I filled out a lot of weird forms that I can't remember the numbers for, but it really wasn't much of a thing. And then, 25 years went by, and I had not really interviewed with firms, and I didn't really have a, elevator pitch for Ed Chamberlain down, and I couldn't really describe well what I both did in the military and then what it translates to either at a specific company or in a market. So it's hard. And the nice thing with society like SAME and some of the workshops that I'll talk about here in a minute that we do is it gives a safe space to just ask those, quote unquote dumb questions. There are no dumb questions during transition, but a lot of people are embarrassed to ask certain things like, hey, like, what do you do? And how does that relate to what I do? And hey, like, how much money can I make? It's very awkward conversations, and I champion. I'm like, hey, there is no dumb question. There is no off limits question. Let's talk about transition. Let's talk about what you want to do. Let's talk about what you don't want to do. Sometimes I find that easier for veterans. Just tell me what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I challenge that. I'm like, well, you say you don't want to do business development, but when you were working on a flight line and you needed to get more parts and supplies for your aircraft, and you may have talked to a supply sergeant in another unit, perhaps, you were doing some business development. But anyway, I've rambled. Our society does have opportunities to both have one-on-one mentoring with veterans, although there's some other societies and organizations that are far better at it than ours is, Veterati being one of them. But our society does give it a venue for definitely veterans wanting to serve in the architecture, engineering, construction community, to just bounce ideas off people, get connected with firms, get an idea what firms to talk to, or for that matter, what government agencies to move into from a military role into a GS, civilian government role. Many of our members have done that as veterans. But anyway, each year we host a career transition workshop, and I'll put the link here into the chat. So this is hosted by our society as a whole. And this career transition workshop is held in the DC Baltimore area, normally hold it in just outside of the BWI airport. And this workshop is really for those veterans that are thinking about transitioning in the next 1 to 2 years, those that have recently transitioned, and then some that, hey, maybe they transitioned a while ago, but they want to sort of get reacquainted with some firms in the AE space. And so we're hosting that. We start a sort of virtual set of workshops starting on January 14th of 2025. And then we move into an on-site registration where they'll have 30, 35 different firms. And then you can do on-site interviews, maybe not necessarily to get hired by that firm, but to get understanding what that firm does and then what a good fit for that veteran could be in the future. So it's always very well attended. Our society wants to outsource this, or not outsource, do more of these all around the country, and if not the world. We do have stipends to bring in veterans. They're serving overseas and they want to participate in this workshop. We have a stipend available to pay their travel to come over to the BWI to do it. We'd love to have another one of these out towards the Seattle area, maybe down in San Antonio area, maybe even one in Germany. But for right now, it's in Baltimore, and through that, we have a series of opportunities for one-on-one mentoring for veterans. We have a series of webinars that are on the website that people can listen into to sort of, hey, hear from some veterans that transitioned just a year ago, and now what would they tell their past self or future self, or however you coin that. So I get a lot out of it personally. It's a way that I try to give back through the society and mentoring veterans. And then a lot of our partner firms hire talent there. So it's a pretty good benefit of the society.
And that is great. Thank you for sharing that. And I do want to, Colonel, I'm going to come back to you because you mentioned something about the international implications, the national and international implications. Our past president, Phil Hicks, was an awesome guy. He's one of the ones that kind of recruited me. He is now down in Alabama, and he is now a participant in the Alabama Post. But Huntsville, yeah.
Yep.
So if you could just tell us about some of the opportunities I'm a little partial because SAME, Northern Virginia Post, we do have some wonderful leadership and great opportunities. But could you tell us a little bit about some of the shared opportunities with not just the DC Post, but Post around the country and maybe around the world?
Sure. I didn't prepare much for this one, but
That's okay.
I can tell you a little bit. So, I mean, as Julie mentioned, 104 years old society. We have posts all around the world. We have a post. I think we have a new post just stood up in Poland right now. So to those working in the AE space to reinforce Eastern Europe and then potentially move even further east to rebuild Ukraine. I hope at some point in time when that war ends. Society is leaning forward to get together AE and construction professionals together with government to potentially together with other nations' governments to really rebuild infrastructure. So our society has always been about that. Here in Northern Virginia Post, we kind of stay somewhat focused, but I'll tell you, not also in Virginia, we have the Blue Ridge Post out towards Winchester. And that post is really focused on the Army Corps' Middle East District and the they've changed their name, so don't hold me to this one, but Transatlantic Center, but they've changed their name. So someone from USACE, if they're watching this, they'll criticize me later. But the point there is that we have a division that's always been focused on overseas contingency environments, rebuilding infrastructure. It was heavily involved in Iraq and Afghanistan. And then we have posts within the SAME that also link up with those different agencies doing that same work. We have a post in Japan. We have a post in Korea. I guess to answer your question is we have one in Guam. So we have Guam is certainly a territory of the United States, but that Guam post is now focused on the consolidation and sort of pivot towards the Pacific that the Navy is doing right now, and really all the services are doing right now. So that Guam post is probably the best example of where you were trying to lead me, where there's a lot, billions of dollars of investment are going into infrastructure in Guam right now to really get ourselves reestablished in the Pacific and really get more focused in the Pacific for our nation's strategic interests and our nation and our allies' strategic interests. So is that enough?
Colonel, for someone who's not prepared, that was one of the most
all
detailed reviews. That's flowing like water. Yes, Julie. Please.
There was the tri-regional in Italy this past
year? We have one in Italy. I wish I knew more about what the focus of that one was because I did not attend. But Julie's absolutely right. SAME had a regional conference to really help support NAVFAC, the Army Corps, and really Air Force interests in Italy for a lot of strategic infrastructure rebuild that going on there. I wish I knew more about it, but there's opportunities within the AEC space internationally. There's opportunities within SAME in this space. So thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, that is awesome. And again, wow, your mind works in a very fluid direction, sir.
Yeah. Never know.
So Julie, and again, the national headquarters are located where, sir?
It's in Alexandria.
So we are a little partial because we are the Northern Virginia Post, and the headquarters is actually headquartered here in Alexandria. So thank you. But it is and for my year and a half plus with the organization, I will say that it is a very inviting family, both for veterans, both for individuals who are in the GovCon space. And it is a place I couldn't imagine not being in, whether you are, and again, this is Veterans Day, so we want to focus in on the veterans, but I also want to expand that at veterans. It's not just the veteran serving. It is the veteran's spouse, family members, children, parents, because if if your child deploys in a not so happy place, it's the mom and dad who are sitting back going, I can't speak to them. And that's an anguish that goes along with it. So it's an incredible family. So, it is not just about the AE space. And I'm also, when we talk about the information technology space, because that is also a big connection now. But just want to let everyone know it is a big family. Let's talk about the conferences, because we've got a few minutes. The conferences and some of the events that we have going on. I don't know who wants to take this one.
Well, I can start with the big conference we've got coming up next week is our excuse me, National SAME Small Business Conference. Excuse me, in New Orleans. We have about 5,000 people, I think, registered to attend. All the military branches are represented there with a heavy presence of USACE, who have multiple people from all their districts. So that's the big one that many of us are going down for. After that, locally, we have our lunch event in December for MWA. Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority is coming in to talk about their updates. So it's not just military, it's also local agencies or groups that we can help. We are joining with the DC Post in December, I think it's December 15th or something, for the Wreaths Across America at the Arlington National Cemetery. So we go as a group to go lay wreaths there. And then Ed's got his Leadership and Mentoring Program graduation dinner on December 6th at Maggiano's. And then, nice. like he said, he's working on selecting the next group. And then our next local big conference is slated for April 30th, our 17th annual small business conference that we do also with the DC Post. Like we said before, we have speakers that come in from the government as well as local agencies. We have exhibitors, the firms, and sometimes the agencies will exhibit there and so people can talk to them. And then the matchmaking that goes on all day. So that's what we got coming up.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see you, Colonel. Did you have something you wanted to add on in regards to past events?
Yeah, I mean, well, yes. Julie has been the strongest advocate for, I think, one of the most unique events that we hold each year. Every October, right after the turn of the federal fiscal year, we host a business-to-business event, and we were kind of hitting on it a little bit, talking about cowbells and maybe in the future columns. But the business-to-business event has been, not invented by Julie, but she's been our number one advocate and champion, and a lot of logistics goes in this. But every year we bring in approximately 33 businesses, both large and small, and they give 3-minute elevator pitches about their company. And it's not 3 minutes and 1 second. It's not 3 minutes and 5 seconds. It's 3 minutes or less, or they get cowbelled by someone awesome like Craig. So it's a great venue to learn about teaming partners in the AEC space. It's actually a great opportunity for veterans to just show up and learn about firms in the AE space. We had a few veterans that I knew that I encouraged to attend this past October, and they were like, this was wonderful. I learned about 30 firms that I could, maybe find a fit with. So that's something that I don't think we were completely aware of until recently. And the other is that we bring in about 3, sometimes 4 government agencies to speak to opportunities that they're looking for people to team on. So this year we had the Baltimore District of the Army Corps of Engineers, the Norfolk District of the Army Corps of Engineers, and then NAVFAC Washington here, all relatively local in our area, to speak about opportunities or just things that they were struggling with that they need help from our society with. They need help from professionals in the AEC space. So we're really proud of that one, and I do anything I can to help Julia pull this event off every year. But I'd say just writ large, the society has conferences, and some people cringe at, well, okay, great, conference, whatever, you go there and do whatever. But what's great about our society is we are successful in bringing in our clients to these conferences. And it's a safe space for our clients to talk about what they're challenged about, what they need more expertise about, or what, they need better performance from industry on. We're not perfect. Sometimes we need to work on, say, our quality control process and things like that. So it's, the conference that Julie was speaking of and down in New Orleans next week, we will likely have over 400 to 500 members of the federal government in attendance. And these are from clients from around the world that work in the AEC space. So, there is no better place to find opportunities, to find people to team with, or to find job opportunities. Some people show up and they work for one firm and they work for another firm and they leave. It's just the way it works. So, not that any of us know anything about that, but it's anyway, it's great opportunities.
Yes, and thank you for sharing. And by the way, Julie is, and I am partial, probably one of the hardest working leaders in SAME. Thank you very much for all your efforts, Julie, because she is, I have no idea, she probably sleeps like 3 hours a day, but but this also goes back to that whole idea that, and this being Veterans Day, that it's not just the veterans, but it's the support system that allows us to do the things, and not just what we're doing today. And Rodney, I want to thank you and your team for this opportunity, but it's just to also make sure that we're getting the message out about what we do at the Society of American Military Engineers, especially the Nova Post. Again, I'm partial. But what we do and what is our contribution to the veterans who have done so much for us as a country. So we want to make sure that that message is out and make sure that we return that we give that back, not just on this day, but on the events that we have. And one of the events that we had, and unfortunately I couldn't make this, was we were at the winery at last week, which I missed my glass of wine. Ed, hopefully you had one for me. But we have opportunities and we have engagements that are not just about industry or veterans, but it's just to get to know one another. And a lot of that is because Julie that's one of her biggest initiatives. How do we go out and we become a family? And I feel very fortunate to be part of that family. Did you have anything else? Because I see we're coming up against 8 minutes. Colonel, do you have anything else that you want to add?
Sure. Yeah, I'll add one thing and then maybe Julie can close this out. But I do want to mention, so our society has a 2030 strategic plan that's about to roll out here pretty soon, but it's pretty simple. Our society is about driving partnerships, it's about delivering solutions, and it's about developing people. So here on Veterans Day, I think one of the aspects there is developing our people that are in the society, and then specifically veterans. So something that we get a little distracted with all the business opportunities and everything we can do to win contracts, things like that, but we are always looking for opportunities to develop veterans and to transition into this space because we're selfish. We want more people to work in this space so that we can get more things done. And so we get veterans to join both events through our society and then start working in this space again, whether it's in private industry or government, because both sides need it. We need a lot of people in our government services positions to help make sure that our private industry is delivering what we need to do. That strategic plan really has not changed in 104 years. We rebrand it, we shorten words, we make it 3 or 5 events, but developing people is what we're about. So it's that K through 12 STEM engagement at middle school level, where I get involved with math counts and science fair projects, to encouraging scholarships in this space, to helping transition veterans in this space, to helping folks that are already in this space that may need to switch jobs. It's I can't find a better society to help me personally and professionally, and I hope that's engaging for others. So Julie, over to you as our renowned, mighty post-president of the Northern Virginia Post.
Thanks to your pushing. I would say it is the same thing. It's been a joy to be a part of this society. There's a lot that I get out of it personally. Like I said, I'm not in the military. I'm not an engineer. I'm the one who puts together the proposals in response for all these contracts. But I really enjoy having a connection to the military and seeing, like I said, these projects go through and be profitable and be good for our military. Just to close it out, if you want to get in touch with us, the email or the website's is down there below at the same.org/Nova. You can join our newsletter and just see, what we've got going on. And if you want to become a member, you just go to same.org and join that way. So thank you.
That is awesome. Yeah, thank you both, Julie and Ed. And as the Veterans Committee Chair, again, I want to thank everyone on this Veterans Day, and I'm going to be a staunch advocate for what we can provide our veteran members, and we have 935 plus members. Is that our tally right now? Because Northern Virginia is the third largest post, thanks Julie and Ed, within SAME. And I would venture to say that the biggest chunk, and I don't give specifics, of our memberships are veterans or veteran adjacent, being veteran members, spouses. And we're making sure that we do our part to make sure that their transition from veteran life to civilian life is as fruitful and less stressful as it possibly can. By being that beacon and having those sources to come to, whether it's just being, and Julie, you didn't mention this, but Julie and I were at the event for the Maryland Officers Association, the Military Officers Association, and it's a wonderful event. And again, anyone who's listening who would like to partner with us to help be force multipliers for us in our veterans efforts, please reach out to a link or through our team. That would be great. But we want to make sure that we give back, because we've gotten so much. And any suggestions or anything you can do to kind of help in that effort, we'd appreciate. Any other closing thoughts, sir, Colonel? And we've coming up to about 3 minutes. I guess my last. I do want to say thank you, and again to Rodney Miner and his team for giving us this opportunity. This is going to be one of many. Thank you very much, Rodney. Because Rodney, when we talk about veteran support, he is someone that is behind the scenes, and he has got a long day, and he's had a long week. And you talk about not sleeping. I know he's probably gotten like 2 hours sleep. But he is truly committed to making sure that advancing veterans issues is something he does every year. And we applaud the invitation this year. We look forward to next year. We look forward to Rodney and his team posting up at some of our events because it is not about us. It's about what we can do and how we can serve after service. So I want to, again, take that time out to say we really appreciate this time and this effort. And anything we can do for you to kind of help, move the needle forward and move the ball down the field, please let us know. Rodney, did you have anything for us? What can we do for you? There we go. There he is, behind the scenes. He's doing 20 different things.
Unmute.
You're muted. You're muted, Rodney. There we go.
I just want to say thank you, Julie. Thank you, Ed. And thank you, Craig. Appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your story. And we're delighted to have the opportunity to help get your message out. We look forward to, a working relationship, to collaborating with you guys in the future. And that's pretty much it. And I think we wanted to just sort of go out on your video that we played. And that's it. And Craig?
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye.
you.